Great. Well, this is such a polite crowd of people. Thanks, everyone, for coming tonight. This is a series of meetups that is organized by a couple different folks. Myself, my name is Kieran Farr, and my day job is working in online video, so two-dimensional variety of immersive media. I'm not quite up to 3 dimensions for my day job. I would describe myself as a hobbyist. I play a lot with A-frames specifically, and all the kind of different web-enabled XR hardware that I can get my hands on to see how that stuff works. We have an awesome selection of speakers this evening. I want to give a shout out to Damon, who couldn't be here, who did such a wonderful job of coordinating with the team here at Microsoft. Thank you, Joe, for all of your support. And then thank you for all the speakers who I'll introduce here in just a second. I'd also like to name a couple other sponsors. My day job, which provides food and drinks tonight, is Bitmovin. Thanks, Bitmovin, for the food and drinks. And I put, and I just put some of our marketing materials. If you're a developer, the thing that is legitimately interesting is we do an annual survey about how people use video streaming technology on the internet, like codecs and stuff, and so that's the result of our annual survey. Also thanks to Samsung Internet, Damon is able to get a lot of resources from the Samsung team to connect us together and to provide support for this event. And then Mozilla as well, Sandra, who couldn't be here, she also contributes a fair amount of effort. And Chris in the back, thanks for hanging out with us too. And then from time to time we see Tony Parisi, who will host maybe one event a year. So let's talk about this evening. The format is very simple. We have 2 speakers that are going to have a presentation of about 20 minutes. The first is Aysegul. On Twitter, AY something. Is that the right? Yes. Okay. You can clarify when you're up here. She works with the Azure advocacy team on spatial computing, and we'll be speaking about how to build more inclusive XR experiences. Rigel is here from 8th Wall, and is an interaction designer that's going to present the new 8th Wall code editor. Very excited to see that, and you said you're going to do a demo of it so we can actually see it in progress. And then we'll have 2 folks that will be showing off demos tonight. One is Manish over there from Mozilla, showing off the Servo browser on the HoloLens 2. So that's pretty exciting. They have a couple units here afterwards that you guys can all check out. And then Devon, if you could raise your hand. You'll tell us in a moment what you're demoing. You'll be last up. After that, we'll do a quick Q&A, and then we're done for the evening, so that'll take about an hour. So, any other questions, issues? Going once, going twice? Sold. Well, without further ado, I'd like to introduce our first speaker, Aysegul, talking about accessibility and inclusivity in WebXR.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Reactor. It's nice to see you all at this event. As Kieran introduced me, my name is Aysegul. I've been confusing everyone with my name for almost 20 years now. I'm a cloud developer advocate for spatial computing and mixed reality for Azure. And also, I'm a Google developer expert for web technologies. And I had a very exciting week. If you haven't heard, HoloLens 2 is available for purchase today. Woo! It is so exciting for me. I can watch this over and over again. HoloLens 2. Oh, wow. How many of you haven't seen this video? today you are going to see a demo of the web. Hi, Mr. Duke. So today I'm going to talk to you about inclusiveness, and inclusiveness doesn't only mean disability, but I wanted to start with the definition of disability. One definition of it, there's so many, is a mismatch between a person's physical capabilities and the environment which they're in, which doesn't allow them to do their job, basically. So when we have an inclusive design, what we are trying to do is eliminate these, and we are trying to design for basically everybody, because disabilities can be permanent, but most of the time, most of the disabilities are temporary, situational, and changing. So imagine being a surgeon and doing a surgery, and you have to keep your hands clean and most likely doing something else. You definitely have a disability at that moment because you can't use both of your hands, number one. Maybe you can use one. But also, you can try to speak to the application that you are using at that moment. The other thing that enables us is the education and access to knowledge. By being able to put information in a very specific place in the right time and the right context allows everybody who doesn't have the training to be able to do their job. Yes. You can go into a new job without having to go through a lot of training. You can follow some of the tutorials, and that will make you much more employable. And this is what mixed reality is doing for our customers. Also, knowledge overload is another one. We have so much information that is abstracted out into a 2D abstraction, which is written content or a number or an Excel sheet. But the way we naturally understand information is in 3D space. So by enabling people to understand the data much better using data visualization and, in this case, IoT data in an airport, you are enabling people to create, make much better decisions. There are other issues. Socioeconomic situation is very important. If your device is very expensive, or to run it is very expensive, it uses a lot of the data, then it's not very accessible. Language might be one, as well as being able to read. It's surprising, but you can, when you go to lots of places in the world, including US, you find a lot of people who are not able to find a job because they can't read the job advertisement. What I'm trying to say is mixed reality is not for this guy, only the rich, and it's for us, for everybody, because we all have these disabilities, and it enables and it extends all of our realities. Where to get started? I know I'm speaking to the choir here, but web is the best place to be because it's available to everybody, it is free, and there's no limit to the content. So I'm really excited to see WebXR APIs becoming reality. But they are not they're not complete in most of the browsers, and that makes it really hard for us to develop for it. And for example, for Chrome, you have to enable all of these flags. You have to know to enable all of these flags to start developing with it. And then what are you going to do? Tell your users to enable all of these flags as well? It's a very painful process. For that, there's origin trials after Chrome 67, but also with Chrome 79, it will be WebXR will be enabled as a default. Maybe Mr. Dub can. Only the VR. Oh. And we have other browsers, which we are going to hear about today. I'm very excited. Firefox Reality and Servo. But a better way to do is make it available for everybody, and WebXR Polyfills is a way to do that. The other thing that I would like to take your attention is giving option to your user is making your application available to a lot of people. So there's a great article in the Mozilla blog. There's a link on my slides that you can see. When people don't have access to an AR device or a VR device, they should be still able to interact with your application in some way. And you can enable this by creating a 3D content which is easily viewable on the web. This is one of our co-workers at Microsoft.
I'm Saqib Sheikh. I lost my sight when I was 7, and shortly after that I went to a school for the blind, and that's where I was introduced to talking computers, and that really opened up a whole new world of opportunities. I joined Microsoft 10 years ago as a software engineer. I love making things which improve people's lives, and one of the things I've always dreamt of since I was at university was this idea of something that could tell you at any moment what's going on around you.
I think it's a man jumping in the air doing a trick on a skateboard.
I teamed up with like-minded engineers to make an app which lets you know who and what is around you. It's based on top of the Microsoft Intelligence APIs, which makes it so much easier to make this kind of thing. The app runs on smartphones, but also on the Pivot Head smart glasses. When you're talking to a bigger group, sometimes you can talk and there's no response, and you think, is everyone listening really well, or are they half asleep? And you never know.
I see two faces, 40-year-old man with a beard looking surprised, 20-year-old woman looking happy.
The app can describe the general age and gender of the people around me and what their emotions are, which is incredible. One of the things that's most useful about the app is the ability to read out text.
Hello, good afternoon. Here's your menu.
Great, thank you. I can use the app on my phone to take a picture of the menu, and it's going to guide me on how to take that correct photo.
Move camera to the bottom right and away from the document.
And then it'll recognize the text. Read me the headings.
I see appetizers, salads, paninis, pizzas, pastas.
Years ago, this was science fiction. I never thought it would be something that you could actually do, but artificial intelligence is improving at an ever faster rate, and I'm really excited to see where we can take this. As engineers, we're always standing on the shoulders of giants, building on top of what went before. And in this case, we've taken years of research from Microsoft Research to pull this off.
I think it's a young girl throwing an orange frisbee in the park.
For me, it's about taking that far-off dream and building it one step at a time. I think this is just the beginning.
Thank you. I'll accept the applause on behalf of Saqib. So it's really, really exciting that he's able to do this for himself. But even more exciting thing is that we all have these capabilities, and it's very easy to use today. Years ago, you had to be in one of these bigger companies to be able to use all of these AR capabilities. But now, with Google, AWS, and Azure making these services available to you, you can create your applications to be much more inclusive as well. So here are the services that is being used in the application that Saqib is talking about. First one is speech. And this is a service that helps you to translate text to speech and speech to text. So this is direct translation, so you can add subtitles to anything. Yeah, I saw you. And speech is not only about translating text to speech and speech to text, it's also understanding the language. So we have another set of services, Azure Language Services, and Luis AI, to be specific, that helps you understand the sentiment of the of the text or the speech. And another very good use of it is to create voice commands in your applications. And if you go to Louis AI, and cool thing about it is we have this online tool that you can open, and you can see how we are training our models, how we are creating voice commands, for example, accepting an event entry or finding a contact. When you open it up, you can see all of the key phrases that we marked and all of the sentences that we tried. So this is all good, but cool thing is you can add as many sentences, as many interesting phrases as you like. So if you have a specific case, for example, if you're a doctor and you have some medical vocabulary that you have to add, then you have this choice, and it's super easy, and it's an online tool. Search is another one. You can bring information at the right time to the right place anytime. You can detect what people are looking for and then search the results and display them. One of the services is Sakib is using is Vision service. And with Vision, you have the capability of detecting objects or detecting the scenery as he was doing, as well as faces and famous people, for example, or landscapes. So as you can see in this image, it's a very blurry image, and it might not even be possible for a person to understand from this image what's going on. But computers are able to do that, and if you send this image, you get all of the information as an object or a JSON values, and it tells you there's a train, there's a platform, and anything else that's related to it. Also, with the custom vision.ai, you can try out your own models. You can try out your own images and see what will work. The other thing he was doing, I'm not sure if it was in the video, but you are able to detect handwritten text, which is really interesting. Somebody can leave a message to a blind person on the side, and you are able to detect it.
Hello there. In this video, we're going to show a quick demonstration of utilizing the Intelligent Edge hands-on lab to detect objects using YOLO with dark mode.
I will share the video as well. There in the slides, actually. What I wanted to show you is my friend
what I'm going to do here
is detecting all of the objects in real time.
Module.
Let's get to his demo.
Just go ahead. It is about to the host name on my network, so I'll go ahead and relaunch this.
So what it looks like is this. You are able to detect all of the objects in real time. But the gotcha in here is that this is a very computation-heavy process. And what he's doing is he has an edge device that he is running the models on.
If I look down over here, it notices my dog.
And you can think of it at the same time. We talked about the performance and costing a lot of money. If you try to do this constantly by sending the live stream to a cloud, it will be very expensive. But if you have an edge device, or if you are able to just grab at certain times when the user needs it, instead of displaying it every time, every moment, it will be much more efficient.
It's very easy you can do with this technology.
Computer vision APIs are able to detect famous people or famous landscapes, but what if you are trying to recognize someone that you work with? What you can do is use the custom vision APIs. With the custom vision API, you can train your models to detect anything. What you do is custom vision.ai, I think. What you do is give a lot of images to our models, and then you can specify where the exact thing is, for example, the faces. And after you have enough images, you run the train. training model, and then in few minutes, if you run the fastest one, in few minutes you are able to detect. And over time, you can try to give some negative images as well, and teach your model how to detect whatever you like. Ink recognizer is the one that is recognizing handwriting. Oh, custom vision was here. All right. Face API is the one that recognizes the emotions and age and gender of a person. This might be very important, but at the same time, this is a very sensitive thing because people sometimes won't like to be identified in that way. Form recognizer is really cool. What you do is try to give few kinds of forms to our model to train it, and after giving maybe 3 to 5 of the examples, it's able to recognize the values and keys and turn it into a JSON object for you. We have a lot of code samples. I didn't want to bore you with the code samples, but I have a lot of in my slides. And also some of the resources are where you can learn more about what we do at Microsoft and some of the tools that we build for you. Seeing VR Toolkit is an open source project, for example, that you can add to your projects, and it automatically gives some options to your users to maybe focus or change the contrast of your application. And there are a lot of other resources. W3C has some, and some standards, and then some techniques. All of the services that are available to you, and the samples are here. And I have a link to the slides, all of the slides as well. Yeah. And the code samples, finally, these are, you can find some REST API samples, how you can work with these services, as well as VR and AR examples. So I hope you create apps that are for everybody and everyone enjoys as much. Thank you.
Thank you, Aysegul. If anybody has any questions, can I ask that you wait for the mic to come around? We're actually recording, and we want to capture the questions and the answers so that it's all good.
We were planning to do it afterwards, actually,
all
together. Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's keep going then. We'll have the next presenter online.
Yes. I'm here. I'm not far. Testing. Can everyone hear me? All right. We'll try this for as long as it survives. Oh, thank you so much. I'm okay. Let's do a decimator. Oh yeah. Decimator. Sweet. How's it going, everybody? My name is Rigel Benton. I'm an interaction designer at Eighth Wall. I'm the interaction designer at Eighth Wall. And we do WebAR. So let me just plug my phone in here. Roll right in. Okay, so who here has heard of Eighth Wall? Great. Okay, cool. So we are the complete WebAR solution. We launched our WebAR engine product last year in September, and it has just been going amazingly well. We have over 90 commercial campaigns that have launched since in the last year. Everything from Heineken and Miller Lite to Volvo, Porsche, Lego, Walmart, Spider-Man. You just keep going. We have lots of movies, lots of products that use this, and it's been really amazing in the last year to see with all of these commercial projects that have been out, all the sort of things that we can learn from that going forward. But quick background on the engine. It has, so we have our own computer vision stack that runs entirely in JavaScript, and it affords us world tracking as well as image targets, which work in tandem with world tracking. So we can track up to 5 image targets simultaneously while doing SLAM, all inside of a browser on a phone, which also allows us. Oh, yeah. So this is an example of using both at the same time, right? Which is pretty fun. And they all remember where they are. And so there's a lot of kind of crazy things that you can do with this technology. And coconuts off of a piece of paper is one of them. And then another thing that we don't talk about a lot, but it's also really exciting about our platform, is that it's entirely modular. So we have examples, for instance, of people running like object detection from machine learning libraries for Heineken, for example, where they needed to detect when 2 bottles clinked, and then that would activate the rear-facing AR experience. And so they did a model that would recognize any variation between cups and mugs and bottles, and all of that's running at the same time as our SLAM, right? And in addition to that, there's also Jalise, which is an open source face tracking library that also runs within our modular framework. So if you have your own computer vision stacks and you want to see what you can do with SLAM and image targets, please, by all means. And another thing that we're really proud of is our broad integration across all WebGL frameworks used for creating, right? So we started with A-Frame 3JS, and then over time we built out official support with Babylon.js and their team, as well as Amazon Sumerian, who we're really close with, and PlayCanvas now. So if you've used any of these or you prefer one over the other, you also get SLAM and image targets and everything you'd expect from WebAR today. So that's really exciting. And we also have commercial examples of all of these platforms being used. So that's been really cool. And then now, this has been a really recent development. I think a couple different times ago that I was here, I announced our official integration with Microsoft for their mixed reality capture content. And so this on the left here is our director of business development. He was scanned, I think, yesterday at MetaStage in LA. And I don't have audio for this video, but there is audio playing back, right? And in fact, this one, just yesterday, after I got the other hologram, put this into A-Frame. So you're actually looking at an A-Frame component that allows you to play back the hologram. And on top of that, I added gesture detection to be able to drag him around, rescale and rotate him, that sort of thing. So that's cool. And then, of course, this is the video that we released showing the soccer kid. It's like my favorite hologram. This is all running in 3JS. So vanilla 3JS, all in a phone, on a browser. This is Safari in both cases, but of course this runs in Chrome on Android, and even now in iOS 13, web views have support for this now. So that's really cool. And Microsoft has licensees that use this software. MetaStage is the big one in LA, and then we also are working with Dimension in London to do commercial content. And there is a lot of commercial content coming. The volumetric wave it's happening, and it's going to be in 8th wall. All right, so I want to play this video real quick that I put together. Let's see, hopefully they get audio. This product announcement is so exciting for us because it finally closes the loop between development and deployment for our WebAR content. And one of the things that we set out to, like our biggest goal with this product was, unlike many other sort of AR studio type products, we wanted this to be entirely boundless with what you can create. So at its heart, it is a text editor that has a ton of tools to make it incredibly easy for you to develop WebAR, XR content, all in browser, and to have hosting built in. So you could deploy at scale with, we use Amazon CloudFront. So it's for our CDN, and it's edge hosted, it's global, and it's instantaneous. And so a lot of the things that we learned over the last year sort of inform from hardships between not just internal development of these experiences, but also with our agency partners, and they need speed and they need to be able to deploy without configuring Sony servers, for instance, or make it really easy to create complex and engaging content that can last over 30 seconds, right? Like deep, meaningful, rich content, which is what we're really interested in. And so a lot of things to unpack here. On the sort of development side of it, it features a fully featured text editor, which is really important with like autocomplete, and we support Vim key bindings as well as dark mode, light mode, all the sort of things that any serious developer would need. And we also have template support, make it really easy for people to just immediately start running with it. And these are also include templates for different platforms that I listed before. So depending on where you're coming from, or you found a project that you really like that uses Babylon, then you can make it really easy to sort of get up and running with that. And we plan on adding a ton of more templates as we go forward. So that'll be really cool. The remote debugger is sort of a game changer. It sort of came from I have an iPhone and I love developing on my iPhone. The iPhone runs our software incredibly fast. And it's great, except when it comes to debugging, where you have to plug your iPhone into your Mac and you have to open Safari to see what it's doing, and Safari is crashing, and it's just not an amazing experience. So we allow for fully wireless remote debugging. You don't have to be on the same network. I'll show you in a moment when I do a demo. You just scan a QR code. You get a preview link that's specific to your dev environment, and then you have your iPhone just shows up at the bottom of your debugger, and you can see everything that's coming in, and you can send commands back, and I didn't have to plug anything in, and you can have as many different phones as you want to plugged in, and then whenever I make a change, I send off a cloud build. A few seconds later, they all hot reload, and you get all of the latest and greatest on all those devices. So I'm so excited about that. And then instant preview sort of goes without saying. Whenever you get a cloud build, you get a new thing that you can see exactly what you changed in real time. And I wrote external library support. It seems like an obvious thing to me because I've been using this, and it's just, but there are other platforms that don't allow you to do this. It's a little hard to add a font to some place. It's not hard here. If you want to add Google Maps, you want to add Google Analytics, you want to add anything you want to, you can just drop it in there. So if you're going to go off and create some incredible WebAR content that rivals the quality of an application that you download from the App Store, then you're going to have to, work with large teams and support, fully featured, we needed fully featured source control to allow people to build large, complicated projects, right? So that's what we have. It's built in, and you can add unlimited seats to your account. So unlimited people can contribute code to the same project. You can go through your commit history. You can view diffs. We have a merge conflict resolution tool built in. We have diffs in our land view. You can, anyway, yeah, I'll show all that in a second. But it's just really great that, like, right out of the box, we support like robust team collaboration for AR. And then we also have clients, which are sort of like branches that you can create. And then when it comes to the hosting side of things, we make it really easy for you to deploy all this content in various environments. So like your dev environment, like I mentioned before, is unique to your account. and to you, and you'll sort of see as I go through the demo like the way that the naming schemes work with the URLs. But you'll notice here they sort of get shorter the more public they become, right? And ultimately, the two most important ones are your staging environment, which you can select which commit you want to have served to the staging environment. You set a password for that, and then you can share that with your clients. You can share that with people outside your organization for a beta test. And then that one can always be more, it can always be a place where you can test out features. And of course, public is what anyone can access without any kind of password or dev token or anything. And of course, naturally, we weren't going to release this without supporting your own custom domain. So rigelbenton.com can now, would be the thing that people would go to access all of this content, and you can easily hook this up through our dashboard to our serving platform. And then of course, outside of all of this, we have QR code generators tied to short links, all the things that we sort of learned, embeds through the last year of distributing the content, helping developers and agency partners, make it easier for their end users to discover the content. That's all built into the platform as well. So, enough of me rattling on about it. I will show you how quick this thing is. So this is our homepage, right? Or our new homepage. And so I can create a new project. I'll just call this test WebXR talk. All right, so now I'm in here. If I go over here, open my editor, here's like the initial set of templates. We've got some A-frame ones. We've got some 3JS ones. I'm going to go ahead and get started with my favorite A-frame template, PlaceGround. So this is creating my repository. It's actually cloning from our template library. And now here I'm in, right? And I'm going to open up QuickTime so you can see what's going on my phone. First, yeah, hold on. All right, cool. So this is just so you can see my screen. Your phone does not need to be plugged in to use this. So yeah, so you want the text bigger? Yes, please. Is that better? Yes. Cool. So yeah, so the basic anatomy of this project is we have a body, we have a head, and we have this tap place script that is that's going to be doing our behavior. So first thing I can do is I can scan the preview to basically link my phone. And by the way, anyone can do this. Yeah, you should be able to. And what will happen is if you can scan this, then your phone will show up at the bottom of my screen. So now I can tap around. I got all these trees. Stage. Do I need to make this bigger? Is this okay? All right, cool. All right, so now check this out. So here's me. I was the first iPhone to connect, and now we got two other iPhones and a Pixel 3 XL, and I can now see all of the everything that's happening on their phones. Oh, and I got a Google. I got the 2 XL over here. Cool. So now I can make a change, and then you'll see if you leave your phones open for a moment what happens here. So I guess actually here I'll add some 3D files. I can just drag and drop. Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. Just trying to click through. Okay. Add these files to my project. And then now that they're in here, I can click on them. We have a full 3D file viewer built in here, so you can look at them. And so let's just see. These were all Halloween themed, but you know what? UFOs are year-round. All right, so check this out. So if I hit save and build after I make this change, we'll see what's happening over here. It's going to start a new build, and this is all in the cloud, and then it's going to send down that build. It's going to hot reload all of our phones, and then suddenly I have massive UFOs, right? Which these are much too large, so thanks. So I'll make these a little smaller. With something not so imposing when the aliens come. Nope. And then let's see, you're starting a new build. All right. Better UFO skills, right? Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty amazing. And sorry. I'm not even thinking about what I'm doing right now. I'm just clicking around. I love this. We scan with a code. Well, so here's what I can do is I can publish this, and then everyone can get the final thing. That'll be easier. But I actually kind of like that everyone gets everyone's a dev phone right now. And so one of the things that's really interesting to think about with this, right, is like, because this is running in a browser, I can be doing development on my iPhone from my iPad, or I can be doing WebVR development from my phone, right? I can connect devices any direction and continue to debug however you'd like, right? So this runs on a Chromebook. You can now make AR on a Chromebook. You can make AR on your phone. I mean, like, I can open this actually on my phone and then make changes that then hot reload my iPad, right? So it's like there's all these kind of emergent design, like development behaviors that kind of come out of removing all of these restrictions from both the deployment and the development of this content, which is like super exciting. Okay, so here, I'm going to move on, but you know, it's kind of incredible. We have all these different phones. And so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to, so you can see here, if I go to my project history, I've only committed one change, right? But if I want to land this change, and I want to say, okay, I'm going to, added UFOs. So I can land this. And you'll see up here in the top right corner, it's currently landing my commit. And once this is done, we can go back and check out the project page. This is also where you would create new clients. So this is a place where you can isolate your code, add new features, experiment, and then you can then merge those branches or clients back into your master branch. Cool. So now I've added UFOs. And if I want to publish this, I can now just click public, hit publish, and now this link is the one that people will be able to send to their friends. And in fact, actually, you go back here. This is like our dashboard page. Now that we've published it, we now have a QR code to the final thing, as well as the link and a short link, which is great for like just being able to read to people out loud, and it also makes the QR code less dense, which is cool. So we just made a WebAR project in just a few minutes. Very cool. So.
Yeah, hey. So I'm Manish. I work on the servo team at Mozilla. I'm also an editor of the WebXR AR spec. I don't really have much of a talk. I have a little demo later that you can come to the table and see. We are working on releasing the servo browser is like an experimental browser engine for that we're kind of targeting for AR, and we have a version of it running on the Hololens with WebXR support, and I have some demos that we can show on that with which are basically just 3JS demos that support WebXR. It's been pretty easy to port things to WebXR. Like it was literally just a couple lines of code to just changing a couple lines of code in the demo just to make it look a bit nicer. But aside from that, everything just works. If you have any content that you'd like to move to WebXR, please talk to me. We're interested in like hearing about all this stuff, hearing about what you're trying to port, hearing out how it's easy and hard. And also, if you'd like to contribute to Servo, please let me know later. I can talk more at the table when I do the demos. I was going to try and cast a demo, and that would have been easier, but that was hard to set up today, so it's fine. All right. Thanks.
Thank you, Manish. And I would assure you, I think he's underselling what they've done here. So you really should go check out the demo. And is it possible for us to provide URLs too, so we could see some of the content that we have, if we already have WebXR stuff? Awesome. Cool. We can try it out. And so last but not least, Devon, if you wouldn't mind saying a few words about what you're working on.
Thank you. Hey guys, my name is Devon. I've been working on an app for the past 3 months that I'm hoping to share with you guys. It's basically a virtual reality living room, similar to big screen and stuff like that, but it's entirely WebXR based. There's kind of 3 other things I think make it cool, or maybe I just said one of them, WebXR. But the other 2 things, the rooms are shareable via a unique URL and a QR code. So you can share this URL out, and people can join your room, talk to you, see your photorealistic avatar, and watch TV with you. So it's just something kind of cool. Like I said, passion project I've just kind of dove into, looking for some feedback, really hungry for what people think of it. And yeah, that's it. Thanks.
Okay, well, I'd like to have the opportunity to do some Q&A for about 5 minutes, and then we can break up into the groups. And because this is being recorded, I would like to make sure that we can kind of carry the microphone around. A switch definitely would help, right? Okay, so I'm going to be selfish and start the questioning off, and I'm going to ask Rigel. You were showing off the hologram stuff. I was just kind of curious, how heavy is that? Is that like those animations like 10 megabytes, 100 megabytes, a gigabyte?
What Microsoft has actually been able to do is actually kind of incredible. I mean, like, if anyone's ever worked with like volumetric video files, traditionally in the past, they've been like massive files, like tens, if not hundreds of gigabytes, some of the stuff I've seen. And they've been able to shrink that down to like, 10 megabit per second streaming bit rates. I mean, yeah, it's pretty astonishing. You notice in those videos where like you just tap and then it just starts playing, that's how fast it is. And you don't have to be on Wi-Fi for that, right? And that's one of the things that's really important to us is that like, as any video, any sort of example from Eighth Wall that you try, you don't have to wave your phone around to find the floor. You don't have to wait more than a few seconds before you can initiate your first interaction and just start immediately using AR. This is such a necessary part of like web UX, like, because a lot of people, they'll stumble across something like this. They will not have downloaded an app, and they'll need it to just work immediately, right? Or they'll bail just like any other website. If you can't find exactly what you need in that first split second, you're gone. So the fact that like not only do these holograms technically work, but they work like amazingly well, I think that's really going to be the turning point. And that's all Microsoft. Like everything that they're doing in this secret room back here, it's like a magic factory.
Thank you. Next question.
Actually, I have two questions. One's the first speaker that spoke of the good price for everything, that you were going to reach everyone, which I like that idea. But isn't that device you showed at the beginning like $3,500?
It is, yes.
So I have a second question, but that's the first one is I like to think of us building stuff that's inclusive, and so how can you talk to that?
So it is $3,500. It's not possible in every case to make everything affordable, but it's really good to give an option. For example, with Mixed Reality Toolkit, we are enabling people to create for HoloLens, but at the same time we have this service, and Mixed Reality Toolkit works for mobile devices as well, and we have this service which you can share these experiences called Azure Spatial Anchors. So you can create it for multiple devices and that way make it available to everybody.
Okay. And now the real question. That, to me, that's like something that I think we're overlooking a little bit, like the people that have cardboard and a mobile device rather than the expensive things. The next question is an eighth wall question relative to process. What is the process of getting something, whether it's A-Frame, 3, Babylon, the application that you're adding eighth wall, AR functionality? Would you see the entire thing being built in the cloud? Do you see something being built and then ported to the cloud and then added to it? How does that work?
So the question is like how tricky is like the integration process? Like how quickly do you need to, like how many changes do I need to make an A-frame scene AR ready?
Could you build the whole thing in the cloud, or would you think that it would be more productive to build outside the cloud and then be uploading it?
So I guess when it comes to the cloud, because we're WebAR, everything is in the cloud. So it's like whenever you go to a website, for instance, the first thing that happens when you go to an eighth wall site is we start downloading our library. It's about 1 megabyte in size, and it lives as a script tag in the head of your document. And so everything else is you, right? So it's like, for instance, we have, for our A-frame integration, we have a single XR web is the name of our A-frame component, that you add that to your A scene. So all we've done is, so far, is we've added a script tag to our head, we add XR web to our A scene, and then suddenly it finds your A camera, it starts driving its position, it does all the right things after that, right? Lighting estimation from your A lights, like all of these things are happening with only just 2 changes. But in terms of like, what is the cloud? Like the cloud is every site that you go to,
Cool. Next question. Yeah.
This one's actually for eighth wall as well. I'm not sure if you've heard of Copper Spice for text, but basically it integrates vector for the text versus rasterization, which allows the text to be exponentially expanded without it being pixelated. I was wondering if that's something that eighth wall is looking into doing, or are they just taking fonts that are already in existence and putting them in their text formatting?
So one interesting thing about fonts and WebAR is like the way that our stuff works is it sits all the 3D stuff sits underneath your web page, right? So one of the side benefits people don't quite think of, and I didn't before I built my first eighth wall project, was that a lot of the complicated things that you'd have to do inside of Unity, for instance, to create responsive web pages, responsive UI systems, right? Where you have to consider the size of the font and how it renders at certain screen resolutions. It sort of doesn't matter on the web because all of this is just HTML and CSS. You want CSS animations, it's free. You want jQuery, use it, right? If you want, your Google font, It's just part of your project, right? So there's like so many amazing things that you can do with this, and it also helps with like responsive web design, right? So it's like if you're designing an Android application, for instance, right, and you have to go through all the troubles of like figuring out all the different phone screen resolutions that your app would support, it's an automatic function of the web, and that's just an incredible thing.
Okay, my second question is for Devon. You were talking about your demo, and I was wondering if you have ever heard of IMVU. That sounds very similar to your living room.
Yeah.
And how does yours differ from IMVU?
Is this still on? Oh, yeah. So I've actually never used IMVU. I've heard of it. I don't know if they do very much what my app does. I mean, I'd love to show you it, and you can tell me if it's the same sort of thing. The thing that I tried to do is just make a deadly simple way to invite somebody to watch something with you through a screen share, right? And to feel like you're in the same room with that person. So, I did that with realistic avatars instead of these cartoony avatars. Basically, the only thing the app does is show you these videos in the room. So, there's no bloat. It's just a deadly simple app.
So I'd like to give the opportunity for one more question. Does anybody have a question for Aysegul or Manish? I can send those out afterwards. If it's a easy one to share, you can. Which demo are you thinking? I will post all of them. How about that? We'll send links out with all the presenters' stuff. So I want to respect people's time. I really appreciate everyone coming here. Wanted to close this off at 8. We're going to have a couple demos, like we said. So Manish is getting set up over there. Devon's right here. And I bet that there are other people showing off cool things, too, if you ask around. Thanks again. Thanks to our speakers. Have a good night.